Hello, good morning, everyone. So let's have our daily briefing for today. And let's have a quick market recap on yesterday's data. So first things, we have the consumer confidence for Germany for the month of November. So the previous data is 0.4 and the market forecast at -1. And the release time yesterday, it's 2 p.m. And for the actual data, it was 0.9. So beats the market forecast and the previous data as well. Followed by the durable goods orders for US monthly basis for the month of September. So the previous data is 1.3% and the market forecast at -0.8%. And the release time yesterday it was 8:30 p.m. And for the actual data, it was -0.4%. So even though it was better comparing on the market forecast, but still this one is a negative figure for durable goods orders versus the 1.3% last month. And the highly anticipated data yesterday, it was the Bank of Canada interest rate decision. So the previous data is 0.25, same goes with the forecast at 0.25%. And at least time 10 p.m. last night. And for the actual data, it's still unchanged at 0.25%. Okay. So let's take a look on what happened on the USD Canadian dollar, to be specific. So we can clearly see that the USD CAD did not benefit from this data. So as the dollar loonie fell down around the 105 pips, so from 1.2430 all the way down to 1.23 territory. So obviously, it was a hawkish tone for the Bank of Canada after the monetary policy report. So during the monetary policy meetings, they've mentioned that the Bank of Canada will decided to end the QE or the quantitative easing for the month of October, and they will focus on the reinvestment phase. And it was a hawkish tone on their side, and that is why the USD CAD fell down sharply around the 1.23 territory. And also, they've mentioned on the economic growth side that for the next couple of years, from 2022 all the way to 2023, the economic growth will be at a slower phase. So for the year 2022, their forecast is 4.5% versus the 4.6%. And for the year 2023, 3.3% versus 3.75%. But on the inflation side, they will keep their targets at 2% on the next couple of years. So I hope you did not, or some of your clients did not affected with this data. And followed by the EIA, crude oil stock exchange. So the previous data is -0.431 M, and the release time 10:30 p.m. And still, the actual data is 4.267 million. As we all know, the demand of oil right now is high, and that is why we can see positive figures for the weekly crude oil stocks change. And for today's economic data, during the Asian session, we have the Bank of Japan interest rate decision. So the previous and market forecast still the same at -0.10%, and the release time earlier, 11 a.m. And for the actual data, it's still unchanged at -0.10%. Well, surprisingly, the Bank of Japan interest rate decision did not create any move after the release. So the dollar yen fell down slightly around the 1.1360. And so from 1.1380 all the way down to 1.1360. So it's just a modest downside momentum for this pair. And during the European session, we have a handful of data that we have to pay attention. So first things, we have the unemployment rate for Germany for the month of October, followed by the consumer confidence for Eurozone for the month of October as well. And the main highlight of today's data is the ECB interest rate decision, 7.45, and followed by the inflation rate for Germany, monthly and yearly basis for the month of October. And also we have to pay attention on the ECB press conference later at 8:30 p.m. And for the US session, we have to focus on the initial jobless claims for US, 8:30 p.m., followed by the pending home sales, monthly and yearly basis for the month of September. And for our key product for today, we have the euro against the USD. So for this pair, I will be, or you have to be cautious for today since we have the interest rate decision. But for short-term trades, we can look for 1.1607 setup and targets at 1.1602, around the 0.38 retracement. And second option is around 61.8 retracement at 1.1611 with the targets of 1.1607. So let's see what will happen later for the ECB interest rate decision. So alternative scenario is if the euro dollar, or let's say the ECB had a hawkish tone, same goes with the Bank of Canada, then we can see a move on the upside above the 1.1617. Again, during the European session, we have an employment rate for Germany, followed by the consumer confidence for the Eurozone and ECB interest rate decision, inflation rate for Germany and ECB press conference. And lastly, we have US session, initial jobless claims, and pending home sales, monthly and yearly basis for the month of September. All right, so thank you everyone for joining our daily briefing today. Stay safe and have a great day.